Frank Dietz here. Welcome back to This Monstrous Life. So this segment is going to be another in my collection series. So I'm going to share with you some of the pieces in my modest collection. As I stated before, I'm not a huge collector, right? I'm very, very specific about what the things I like to collect, and usually it's stuff that relates to movies or TV shows that have some kind of personal meaning for me. So today I'm going to share with you two different items really, from a show that I grew up watching, from the time I'm not even sure when I started watching it. I don't think I watched it when it was on prime time. I think when it moved to Saturday mornings. Saturday mornings, folks, get out that Captain Crunch. It's time to eat. But this show was like no other animated show that was on television. It was so special. Some of you are probably already guessing the show that I'm talking about. It was made by Hanna-Barbera, created by a guy named Doug Wildey, and it was called Jonny Quest. And Jonny Quest was so unique because it was an animated show about a young boy, his scientist father, their bodyguard, and their Indian friend, and they go on all these different adventures all across the world in the name of science, and they encounter everything from a giant pterodactyl to a condor to a living gargoyle to sea monsters to a giant robot spider to an invisible monster, one of the scariest episodes, by the way. And I wouldn't miss this show for the world. It was exciting. I identified with the main character, Jonny. So if my friends and I were playing Jonny Quest, I had to be Jonny. I could be Race, I guess. But there was Jonny, who was the young boy, Dr. Quest, his father, who was the scientist, Race Bannon, who was their bodyguard and was really cool and tough, and then Haji, their friend that they sort of adopted along the way in like the third episode or something like that. There's an episode, oh yeah, with a mummy too, a classic monster. So back in 1965, I think, the sneaker company PF Flyers did a cross promotion with Jonny Quest, and what they actually created an animated commercial that had the characters from Jonny Quest essentially selling the sneakers, right?
Now, a new PF Flyer adventure starring Jonny Quest. Something was wrong on the volcano. Race was flashing a message. In danger. Bring rope. Jonny flashed back his answer with his PF magic ring. Coming. He ran like the wind. Lucky he was wearing his PF Flyers, the action shoes. Only PFs have the action wedge built right in, so you run your fastest and jump your highest.
But they sweetened the pot basically by offering a Jonny Quest official decoder ring that if you bought a pair of PF Flyer sneakers, you got one of these rings. And it was, everybody wanted it, and every boy I knew wanted it. I'm sure some girls did too. But so I had one. I talked my parents. I gotta get PF Flyers. I didn't really care about the sneakers. I wanted the ring, which is plastic, a little piece of plastic. Right? But my mom bought me the PF Flyer sneakers, so that was cool, and I got my ring. Now over the years, I either broke it or I lost it or whatever. But I always loved it. And so one day, many years ago, I decided to try to track one down on eBay. And there were a few out there. But they were pricey. Some of them were like 150 bucks. And I didn't feel good about spending that kind of money on this tiny little thing. But I realized that I was putting in the search PF Flyer decoder, Jonny Quest decoder ring, right? And then these high priced auctions would come up. So one day I just decided to punch in the words decoder ring, not mention PF Flyers, not mention Jonny Quest. And lo and behold, what showed up was the exact same ring for $25. Two of them, in fact. And I bought both of them. So one of them I gave to my dear friend David J. Scow, who you may know as the writer who wrote The Crow, and a very prolific author of mysteries and so forth, and also the biggest Creature from the Black Lagoon fan you'll ever find on the face of the planet. So I gave him one for, I think it was his birthday or something. And so, but I still have the other one, and I'm going to show it to you now. So I keep it in one of these little ring boxes here, right? And so you can see it there. So it has a couple of pieces to it, which I can also show you. So I'm going to take it out, and here's the thing: it's made for a kid, right? So I cannot wear this. Oh my God. I wonder if the green screen is going to show up in there. All right, we'll find out, right? But I can't even get this on my pinky finger, But the way it worked was, so you've got your typical decoder ring with the letters on the outside and numbers on the inside. But this top piece pops off. There we go. Like that. And the idea was that you were to use this reflective green that's in here to be able to send signals, utilizing the sun, to send signals to your friends. Now, I don't know that anybody my age could figure all that stuff out. But it was just cool enough to actually have the ring. And this one's in perfect condition, and so was the other one that I got. So this is one of my little treasures. Um, but then something else turned up not long ago, and just to show you how my kids know how much I love Jonny Quest, and they've watched the show when they were younger. But just this past Christmas, like a few days ago, my daughter Tabitha gave me this as a present. The Jonny Quest Dragonfly Jet model kit. Now, will I build this? We'll see. I might. It's been a while now since I put together a model, but it's very cool. It's very cool. And this is made by Mobius, which is they've put out versions of old like Aurora model kits, like the monster model kits from the 60s and so forth. So, but I don't remember seeing this when I was a kid, so I think it might be newer. Actually, my friend at Cult TV Man probably could help me out there. How about it, Steve? You let me know. And now here's the other one that's actually cool and somewhat rare. I found on a website one day a guy who was selling cells, old cells from old TV shows, and they're most if it's a full body, they tend to be expensive, right? But Jonny Quest was made by Hanna-Barbera, and one of the things that Hanna-Barbera did was utilize what they called limited animation, meaning that if a character is in a scene and only his head or his arm are going to move, then the rest of the body would be on what they call a held cell, which means that it's not going to move. It's going to stay there, so they don't have to draw it over and over and over again. All they have to draw are the movements for the head and the arm. That's, what the action is. But I desperately wanted to have a little piece, a real piece of the Jonny Quest show. So I found a piece that I thought was affordable, even though it's not that much, but to me it's still pretty special. So what I got here, show you is, so this is a cell. It's in a frame, so I'm trying not to get too much reflection there. But what you're looking at in the center is Race Bannon's red shirt. This looks like it would have been a held cell, and like what I was talking about. So maybe the head and maybe the arms were moving, but not his upper torso. So that would stay static. So that's why there's only the shirt and no body parts involved. And so then I put it together in this little montage with photos of Race and the other characters, and then I put it in this frame. And this hangs. I have an animation wall in the house that has cells from the movies I worked on when I was at Disney and some other things as well. So this is on the animation wall. It does have a number, so I haven't figured out what the episode is. It says 129H1. So that means it was scene 129. H probably means held. Held one. This gives me so much joy. um, I also have, I'm not sure where it is. I think it might be in storage right now, but I also have a sculpture that somebody did years ago as oh, did I talk about it already? Maybe I did in an earlier episode. I have a little, the dog on the show was named Bandit. And one of the Wonderfest sculpt people created a little bust of a Bandit, a full body of Bandit. And I think that they sold them to raise money for Doug Wiley, who was ill at the time, the creator of the show. So yeah, I'm a quester. I'm a Jonny Quester. I still love the show. I'll always love the show. It took chances. It had actually had scary moments to it. That the Invisible Monster one scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. But it's 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 one of the shows that when I look back on my childhood, I get this very warm, fuzzy kind of feeling about it. And I'm so glad that it's, still available, that, you can get the whole thing, the whole series, because there was only one series of, I don't remember how many episodes, but 20 something, I think. And that's available on Blu-ray. I think maybe from Shout Factory. If you haven't watched Jonny Quest and you love things like action adventure, dinosaurs, mummies, yetis, they're all in there, and cool music too, very cool music. One really quick little fun fact: Toru the Terrible was an episode of Jonny Quest that featured a living pterodactyl or pteranodon that was under the command of a little mad scientist or whatever. And the very distinctive roar that Toru, the flying dinosaur, had, that anyone who was a fan of the show, if you hear that sound, was oh, that's Toru the Terrible. But I realized that in 20 Million Miles to Earth, the Ray Harryhausen film, which was made like 10 years earlier, there's a scene in that where the creature from Venus, animated by Ray Harryhausen, fights an elephant outside of a zoo in Italy. And the noise an elephant makes is the exact same noise as Tulu the Terrible. So that sound must have been sitting in a sound effect file that anybody, from Warner Brothers could use. Or no, wait, that's Columbia. Anyway, uh, I think it probably got used a lot more in things I just haven't heard yet. But if you're a fan of Tour the Terrible or of 20 Million Miles to Earth, watch one or the other and compare. You'll see what I mean. Okay, so that's it for this edition of This Monstrous Life collection segments. I got a whole bunch more to show you guys. I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. And in the meantime, I hope that 2026 is better for everybody. I hope everybody is happy and healthy, and I look forward to seeing you next year, which is only 2 days from now. So, in the meantime, I'm Frank Dietz. This is This Monstrous Life, and I'll talk to you soon. See you.